Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you a Russell Athletics Bowl game preview between the Rutgers Scarlet Knights and the Virginia Tech Hokies. Now let's take a look at some keys to victory for both teams, starting with the Scarlet Knights.
For the Scarlet Knights, I like what I see from the ground game with Juwan Jamison. This guy has over 1,000 yards and reminds a lot of people of Ray Rice. He has that explosiveness and he's built compactly, thus allowing him to break a lot of tackles and rip off those long runs. But I look at the physicalness and the size of their wide receivers. I think they can have a huge asset, not only in the passing game, but also in the running game by utilizing those condensed formations. That will put a lot of stress on that 4-2-5 defense of Virginia Tech and allow them better angle to get better positioning as far as the run blocking is concerned. Defensively, the big matchup I'm looking to see is defensive back Logan Ryan versus wide receiver Marcus Davis of Virginia Tech. That's going to be the big matchup that Rutgers has to win in the passing game. And also the defensive line has to make sure they remain disciplined versus Logan Thomas and not allow outstanding tailback J.C. Coleman to get to the edge, because if that happens, then at the backside defensive end will be suckered in and lose contain on the bootleg or the naked bootleg or the naked rollout, and that could do a lot of damage to this Rutgers defense. So you got to make sure you play with some controlled aggressiveness and some discipline and not allow Coleman to get to the edge in a running game. Now let's move over to the Hokies in this ball game, and right off the bat, you want to move the pocket for Logan Thomas. Two things that will do. One, it gets his athleticism on the perimeter and puts pressure on that defensive front and those linebackers, and also it shrinks the field. It gives him a high-low layer type of route so that way he can make a safe and efficient throw. And you want to put pressure on those Rutgers linebackers to cover the hook, the curl areas. That's getting the backs involved in the passing game as well. But the offensive line play is always crucial for Virginia Tech. You got to be able to protect Thomas, but Thomas also has to do his part and trust his protection. Defensively, I look at the interior defensive line as having a huge impact. That's both defensive tackles, Derek and Antoine Hopkins. Those guys can play some good football, and they can really have a huge impact on this ball game if they are able to own the guards of Rutgers. They have a size advantage, so they can really get penetration, and we know that stops the running game. And if they can hold their own at the point of attack, then we know they have some outstanding speedy linebackers that can make plays in the running game and putting a lot of pressure on Gary Nova, the quarterback. So look for the defensive tackles to play a huge role in the defensive game plan for the Hokies. Kasim Green is one of those linebackers that you want to have on your football team. Excels in coverage. This guy has the hands of a tight end, so he can make plays in the passing game, but also has the speed and athleticism to chase plays down in the backfield to stop the run. So he is a complete linebacker. Look for him to probably go in the second round. And Bruce Taylor, the linebacker for Virginia Tech, now they've had a down year out there in Blacksburg, but this guy has played some big-time football. 6'2", 240, inside linebacker type of guy. May struggle in pass coverage, but definitely is a thumper that you want at the second level of your defense. Tight end Marco Battaglia from 1992 to 1995 was an impact player for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Definitely a campus legend. Was a first-team All-American in 95, Big East Offensive Player of the Year, and still holds a school record for 7 100-yard receiving games. And Bruce Smith, a.k.a. the Sack Man as he was known on campus from 1981 to 1984, was an outstanding player for the Virginia Tech Hokies. His junior year, he was an All-American with 22 sacks, led the nation, and followed it up with his senior season, 16 sacks, another All-American candidacy, and an Outland Trophy winner. Definitely one of the all-time greats. I like Rutgers in this ball game. I think this matchup will come down to Logan Thomas versus the linebacking core in the secondary of Rutgers, being able to make precision passes and keeping the Hokies out of bad situations. I like the defense of Rutgers in this matchup, and I think that's how they're going to win this game. Two outstanding tailbacks, J.C. Coleman for Virginia Tech and Juwan Jamison for Rutgers, but I really believe it's going to come down to which quarterback can make the least amount of mistakes. We know Gary Nova has had some issues throughout the course of the season, as well as Logan Thomas, but I like the Rutgers defense, like I mentioned before, to come away with a Russell Athletic Bowl victory.